Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 6th and the 9th of April 2026. Hello there. Sorry we're late. All my fault this week. Can't blame Ree for this one. Hi Ree, how are you this week? All right?
Yes, I'm good, thank you, Rob. How was your splendid time in Edinburgh?
I love
Did you see Sandra? Is she Glasgow? She's Glasgow.
Sandra. No, yes, she's Glaswegian, I think she is. Yeah, no, I didn't see Sandra. So I went on a little trip to Edinburgh this week. I've never been to Scotland properly before. No.
Yeah,
and so,
I went when I was a kid, so I couldn't tell you anything now.
No, that I think that was when the last time I went. So I've got no memory of it whatsoever. But yeah, Edinburgh's nice. Nice city. Nice city. Yeah. It's like a Scottish London.
Right.
It's quite... Yeah, but it's not like a city with full of skyscrapers or anything like that. It's sort of castles and all that kind of thing. It's
like
nice.
York kind of vibe.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. It's exactly what we thought. It was like,
is what I'd call it.
Scottish York. This is. Yeah, it was really nice. I'm sure Scottish people will be delighted with that description.
What, the olden Scottish?
The olden Scottish York. That's what it is. But no, really nice. And I bought some Scottish shortbread. I love shortbread. Really like shortbread. I love shortbread.
Do you think it's
nice.
Dry? Well, clearly
no, not the right shortbread. Not the right shortbread. If you have the right shortbread, it's moist, it's buttery, it melts in your mouth, it's tasty.
Okay, right. Well, then can we have a hunt for some nice shortbread? Because I've never understood the fascination with it.
I'm coming to see you next week, aren't I? Yes. Coming to Sheffield next week for a 5-day trip. Can't wait. It won't affect the pod. Don't worry. But me and Rhea are going to have a bit of a visit. Might record a few little bits and pieces while we're there, mightn't we?
Perhaps.
But I'll bring the shortbread, and I'll tell you what.
Yes.
You're
all right.
Changed woman.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Do that. Yeah. I look forward to
Changed woman. Meanwhile, your daughter was 4 this week.
Yeah, can't quite believe that.
How did that happen? 4 years. How is she 4?
An actual 4-year-old?
That's crazy. She starts school this year, doesn't she?
Oh my God, don't.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Absolute craziness.
Yeah, crazy.
4 years old.
I've got the party tomorrow. The actual birthday party.
Oh, right. So what? We got sambuca, clubbing.
Yeah, right. I wish.
Yeah.
Unrest. No, she's demanded it.
You can't push your drug habits onto your daughter yet, Ree. Give it 10 years.
No, she's demanded it at soft play, so that's going to be
okay.
fun. I'm hoping that actually it'll be more fun than when I do it myself because, you're paying for, there's a person there. So hopefully all the kids just run off and you don't have to do much.
Have you got to, look after it, well, not single-handedly, but have you got, a load of kids coming to it as well? Is it that sort of
but I put on the invite, parents, please stay for the fun.
As in, not my responsibility if your kid injures themselves, not my problem.
Well, I was talking to my friend about this who's got a child who's a bit older, and at that age, the parents do still need to be there. When they're a bit older, I think you can do what you'd call a stop and a drop.
Stop and search. That's what you were about to say there, weren't you? It was on your brain.
A stop and drop where they just drop them off and then go. But at this age, yes.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not all down to me, at least.
Well, good luck with that. That'll
be
fun, I guess. Yeah, good luck with that. Right, so this week's EastEnders. I thought a really interesting week, is what I would say. This whole Jasmine storyline has got me... It's intriguing now. I feel like officially the Jasmine story has now finally started building momentum, and this week was sort of a sort of mini climax to it all. And now we're into sort of chapter 2 of it. Now she's living on the square, and Josh is here, and we'll see what happens from here.
I feel like they've tied it in with spring, all this, right? And it's some of the things are coming to a close, and it's new chapters beginning in quite a few storylines and things. Is how I felt this week was.
Yeah,
because. I don't know. Is it? Has it come to a close now? Is that all we're going to learn about their childhood and stuff?
There's got to be more, right? There's got to be more. There was certainly some interesting threads sort of revealed this week, which I presume we're going to kind of come back to.
Yeah, we'll talk about it all.
But we will talk about Jasmine.
I've got another thing in the back of my head.
Yeah, we'll talk about Jasmine a bit later on in the pod. We've got a few other stories to discuss. First, Ian and B. We'll cover that. I mean, are you happier with that than you are with Ian and Elaine? Are you?
Yeah, well, again, we'll discuss it.
We'll discuss that.
Well, yeah, we'll get to it.
We'll start off with Nicola and George and Penny as well, talking about the stuff that started last week with them. So let's get on with it in this week's Albert Square After Dark. Right, let's kick off this week. We're talking about George and Sharon Stone.
Yes.
As Nigel misidentifies her, although I can see it. I can
I
see the
can.
Sharon
I'm not
Stone.
gonna lie. I had to Google Sharon Stone Basic Instinct, right? Because
Oh,
I
you know the
couldn't
scene. You know
remember.
the scene, though, right?
Nope.
The whole leg
No.
cross. How are you not? Oh, that's like one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history.
I'm terrible with films. Like
Mm.
films are not my
They're
forte at
not
all.
mine
So
either, but I certainly know about that scene.
you're better with films than me. But
Mm.
no, I had to Google it. And when I Googled it, I was like, yeah, fair. I can. Yeah, I
Had
can
you ever
actually
seen?
see
Had you ever
that.
seen that scene before?
No,
It's quite a scene.
is it?
Oh yeah, like it's it. I would argue the most paused scene in cinema history
What for?
because she.
Why?
I can't believe I'm explaining this scene to you. That's hilarious. So basically, Sharon Stone is playing someone who's been interrogated by police, and
Right.
she's got a leg. She's got quite a short skirt on, and she's playing quite
Mm.
a vamp, I would call her, I guess. And she is being interrogated. She's got her legs crossed and she's wearing a short skirt. And at one point during the interview, she's got like a load of men in front of her, male police officers, and she's got complete hold of the entire room. Like she's in charge, even though she's the one being interrogated for this murder that's
Ah,
happened.
interesting.
I think she did as well,
Kind of
actually.
see the parallel a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
there.
But
Yeah.
at one point, she uncrosses her legs for about 3 seconds, and she's got no underwear on, and then recrosses her legs again. And it's like the most poor scene in cinema history because you're like, can I actually see her bits and pieces there? So yeah, yeah,
Wow, I never
yeah.
knew that.
There you
Poor
go.
Sharon Stone.
Hopefully,
Hey,
yeah.
being posed in that
I
angle.
know, I know. But there you go. That's who Nicola. That's who Nigel
That's
thinks
who it
Nicola
was.
is.
Right, okay, got you. Thank you. No, but I
That's
can
why
kind of
she.
see the
That's
parallel
why
when
she
you were
made that leg
describing
cross.
her.
That's why she made that leg crossing line reference that she said. Yes, that's what that was about. There you go. Yeah, look. Yeah. So yes, that was what that was about.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have a prediction. I
Oh,
have the
go on.
official prediction. So New Year's Day, Chelsea and Nicola have fallen out, right?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
had some Chelsea and George scenes this week. Now,
Hmm.
is a little mini fling happening or something between
No.
Chelsea and George?
No. I will. No. George would not do that. She's too young for him. Surely.
Well,
Surely. How
possibly.
old is George actually?
I mean, he's in his.
About 60?
I don't know. He's not that old. I think he's in his 50s.
I reckon he is probably. You
He's not in
know.
his 60s. He's not in his
Well, how
60s.
old's
I think he's
Cindy?
late
That's what I'm
50s.
basing it on.
I think. I don't know, but I
Because
don't think George is in his 60s. I think he's late 50s.
I would have thought he's not far. Oh, fair enough. I thought because Elaine, how old's Elaine meant to be? Because Elaine's got
I think.
Linda. So I always assumed
I think
Elaine was
Elaine's in her
about 70.
60s.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying any of them look like this. I'm basing it on no, but I'm basing it on the ages of their character, like the family of the characters. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
digging,
Keep digging, keep
digging.
digging. Either way, we still need a reason for Chelsea and Nicola to fall out by New Year's Day, and Nicola hates her by New Year's Day, and this would cause hate, I would
Yeah, but
argue.
then why would she be sat so nicely next to George if it were that?
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if there's going to be an element of because we know that Nicola is not an easy partner. Yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe there is
Us that
a mini
warrants him having
break.
an
Well,
affair
I'm
or
not, I'm not saying that, but what I would say is maybe they have a mini break.
okay, a
And
bit Ross and
George and
Rachel.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But then
Yeah.
Nicola like takes that ultra offensively because Chelsea works for her and all that kind of thing. That's my prediction. That's what I'm going to
No,
go with for the.
possibly. I just wouldn't have thought it of George. In my head, even though I know there's an age gap between, I don't know why I'm like age gaps
About
that people
100,
won't even go
180
there.
years in your
Yeah,
mind.
there must be
George being
90.
father time, apparently. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in my head, Gina and Chelsea, like he'd might view Chelsea as a bit like Gina, like because they're
Yeah, no.
kind of
Well,
close in age. So
Chelsea's in her 40s now, I
I know I
think.
was thinking she's
Yeah.
like,
So they're
because
not
she's
like they're
yeah
not miles
that
apart from
far
one another.
apart.
Yeah, so it's possible, I think. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you might have a
And we
point. I
know that
just
Chelsea is doesn't mind going with people that are in relationships.
Oh, I
So
don't put it. I would not put it
no,
past Chelsea in a million years.
no.
But it were George that I thought wouldn't go there.
I mean,
But then again,
there was some
mm,
nice moments between Chelsea and George this week. Because I'm pleased that they sort of remembered that Chelsea has been through this. So that was a good sort of
yes,
reference point for them to be talking. And
I
on its
thought that.
own, perfectly pleasant, lovely scene. But it's just that because of what we know is
Well,
coming, you've got to sort of wonder, well, why is that happening?
do you know the other thing I wondered with that and whether it was relevant? Because obviously Chelsea mentioned that Jordan was premature, which I'd forgotten about, if I'm
Yeah,
honest with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So obviously she was relating to it to George. I wondered if maybe she's going to be a bit of a shoulder for Nicola throughout it. And then maybe when Nicola's struggling, Chelsea's
Mm,
going to offer to babysit or something, and then something happens when she's
maybe,
babysitting, is what I wondered.
maybe.
that's what I was wondering. But we still don't know why Nicola's got a broken ankle or a broken leg.
Chelsea does
Like,
it. They have a fight.
well, maybe, or maybe like Chelsea's babysitting, and then she lights some candles and she falls asleep while she's babysitting. Fire
Mm.
happens. Nicola goes in to try and save baby Ivy, hurts a leg in the process.
Yeah, maybe.
Just riffing. I'm just riffing. However,
Hey, that's all we could do at this point. Also, I've
your
got another.
theory is quite a bit
Well,
more believable than mine. But go on.
also, it's not on this story, but I've also got another theory about the Jasmine and Josh triangle, because
Oh,
we know now that Jasmine's going to be living in the Vic, and we know that
yeah.
this love triangle is going to be happening. What if that climaxes on Christmas Day? Jasmine goes insane, throws a stool or a brick or Josh through the window that we know is broken on New Year's Day, and that's why that happens. So
Oh, yeah. Could
pieces,
be.
possible jigsaw pieces are starting to
Yes,
come together.
definitely.
You never know.
Interesting.
I think from here we need to start really looking for these puzzle pieces and start trying to put them together for New Year's Day. We know we've got quite a long time before we get there, but I
Yeah.
feel like they're going to start sowing seeds from here on in. So,
Do you know what though, right? You know when we were doing all the sick stuff, there were a
mm.
lot of red herrings thrown in along the
Oh,
way.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then I don't know what it is, but I don't feel like they're going to do that as much this time because, you know, with all
Mm.
the lead up to Zoe finding her kids and everything,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was the most obvious answer that was staring us in the face. So I do
Mm.
wonder if it is going to be the most obvious thing that
Well,
the show, almost like hiding in plain sight. I wonder if they're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
take it in that direction with this
We'll
New
see.
Year's Day mystery. Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
So Nicola, obviously we were
Yeah.
sort of talking last week that we reckon that maybe postnatal depression is going to be a very easy thing to start off with this and Monday I think we were dealing with that. I thought maybe we had postnatal depression for like an episode because Nicola was like really depressed and lashing out at people and like really sort of sad and
Yeah,
didn't want to
but
see the baby. But then
Yeah,
after
but you
that it
can
was like
relate to that when you've just given birth, your hormones are
yeah, all
crazy
over the place.
anyway.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I remember feeling, I'm going to say pathetic in inverted commas,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
how
yeah,
I
yeah.
felt
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
had a C-section and my daughter was next to me and
Mm,
I was so like incapable that every time I needed to pick her up, I had to like ask for a nurse.
mm.
And I felt really guilty even at that
Yeah.
even though I'd had a C-section,
Yeah,
major
yeah.
surgery. So I can't imagine what these mums must feel like, especially Nicola, who'd had like an infection.
Yeah.
She's already trying to say that she feels like her body's failed her. Again, the mum guilt you have is like
Oh yeah.
insane, especially
Huge.
just after birth. But I do agree that it could be definitely a possibility because she's had a traumatic birth experience and it does increase the risk of it.
Still from now, do you reckon? I think they could come back to it and sort of make it a thing because I feel like by
Yeah,
the end of the
definitely.
week, actually
Yeah.
she seems okay. Like she's able to touch the ivy and like she's able to be there and hold her hand and
I'm
everything.
not
So
gonna lie, right? But maybe this is based on my experience,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
was actually amazed that she was just walking about and that she'd gone to care home to see Nigel after she's
yeah,
just given
yeah,
birth.
yeah. I mean,
And then that
I
she
did
were
wonder
in
that. Yeah.
and then she were in work and then she were at night fusion. I'm like,
Mm.
that that didn't feel very realistic to me, if I'm being totally honest. But
Yeah, I
then
mean,
again, I know it's a
obviously,
soap
every
and, you
case,
know,
yeah,
whatever.
and I don't, I
Yeah,
agree,
everyone's
but because
different.
I was surprised, like I'd
Yeah.
seen like a couple of preview pictures. I think there was a picture of Penny and Nicola,
Mm.
and I was sort of like, how is she there when we're here
Yeah.
currently? But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess every case is different. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe I'm
sure.
assuming that you
And
can
maybe
be
she was
okay.
literally in those places for 5 minutes at a time, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
she was doing a lot considering what's just happened.
she
And
was. Yeah.
yeah, but anyway.
Um, so George and Nicola, George, yeah, the timing was crap, right? Like saying, "Oh, I love you," and it's sort of like the man way of looking at that, right? Completely. It's sort of like I can see what he was thinking. Being a man myself, I can see
Yeah.
what he was thinking. He was like, emotional support is what this woman needs right now, and if
Yeah.
I say that I love her, that will make her feel emotionally supported. And that was
Yeah.
that in Georgie's head,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as cut and dry as that, obviously, because things are a bit more complicated than that, right?
Yeah. And do you think he meant it? Or do you think he felt like he
I
needed to say it because of like what you're
I was
saying?
surprised actually that we're at this point with these two, especially from Nicola's
Same.
point of view. Like, maybe by the end of the week, where hormones all over the place, like you say, and you're feeling delicate, and you do need that support, and George is there giving her that support. I can see how Nicola would fall into "I love you" from that point onwards. But for George
Yeah.
to be saying it at that point, I wasn't sure whether he meant it at that moment or not, or whether he was just trying to be the supportive partner and figured that that was what was needed at that moment.
Yeah, or he feels like this is what I should say in
Yeah,
this moment
yeah,
because this is what we're going through.
uh,
Yeah, I wasn't fully convinced, but then, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like we've seen them in love. I think we've
no,
seen them like learning to cohabit a bit, and
mm,
they are obviously are fond of each other, but I don't think
yeah.
we've seen that they're in love with each other yet.
Well, they are officially together now. Like,
Yeah,
if there was any doubt about whether they were a couple or
yeah,
not, I feel like this week was the week that we know that
yeah,
George and Nicola are a thing.
yeah,
Um, So Ivy is currently just kind of still in hospital. I feel like everything's going to be fine with Ivy in the long run. I feel like obviously she
yeah,
needs to do. Obviously, she was very, very early, but she's going to be okay from this point onwards. So the future of George and Nicola, like I say, the only real prediction I can make with them is the Chelsea aspect of it. Because
yeah,
what else could it possibly be apart from maybe you say that she babysits and something goes wrong? But
yeah.
I feel like
Or
that
something to do with
wouldn't.
the bar, but I don't see why she'd hate her that much if it
Yeah,
was something to do with the
yeah,
bar, like she'd mess something up. Unless she's
yeah.
been stealing from her or something.
And then for what
Again, I
reason would
wouldn't
she
put
do
that.
that? Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't put that past Chelsea, but yeah, true. Why would she do that? I don't think Chelsea would necessarily. She'd have to have her own story to mean that she was like desperate enough to steal from her
Yeah.
because I don't think she would just do it for the sake.
Mm.
So
I feel like this week Chelsea, at the very least, has begun to orbit that storyline a little bit. So
yes,
I guess we kind of keep an eye
definitely.
on what Chelsea's doing from this point onwards. With regards to Penny,
Yes.
obviously the whole DNA thing
Oh, do
is
you
still
remember
going
me
on.
saying last week that I thought that she'd fake the DNA
Did you say
results?
that? Did you?
Yeah, I
Did
said
you
that.
said
Yeah,
that? Did you?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Ree's
sure it
always
was.
right.
Yeah, I'm sure it was you that said that, Rick.
No, it was
Um,
you, Rob. You said
yeah,
it
was
last
it?
week.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, if I
You
say it, it
even
comes out of your
forgot it.
mouth. I would have. Yeah, well, I just assumed you would have said it. You know, obviously, Ree is always right.
No, you called
Um,
it last week. Yeah.
well, she did fake it. I was surprised that I'm not 100 million% convinced that Nicola believed it. I feel like Nicola was sort of just playing for time.
I don't know. I
Because
think she
how easy?
glanced at it. She might want to look at it again because, given the state that she would have potentially been in, like having just given birth in the way that she had, she just
Yeah,
glanced at it. So maybe she might be like, send me a picture of it again. Because my first thought was, Oscar's done it. Is there going to be some kind of
yeah.
spelling mistake in
Of
it that
course, this is
Nicola's
what I
didn't
mean.
see or
Oscar did
something?
it. And what you're
Yeah.
telling me that Oscar is capable of creating an entirely convincing fake DNA
I mean,
document?
you have got internet these days, Rob. I bet
I
you
mean,
could easily just get AI.
AI
Yeah.
could do it, I guess,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's sort of like, is that like I don't know? Is there some sort of official emblem or something from the DNA company that
I don't
like
know. Yeah. How
you
do
know what I
you
mean
make,
though?
yeah,
Like,
how do you
I mean, presumably
certify
now,
it?
I would say now from here on in, there's got to be something that certifies these things, right? Because
Yeah,
otherwise,
you'd
this is going
think.
to be a very easy lie to tell for people in the future, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't actually know how you
Evidenced
do
by
it.
the fact that Penny went, yeah, there you go. Oh, right, okay, it's Vinny's
Yeah,
right. All
yeah,
right, cool. Problem
yeah.
over. And it's sort of like, I'm not convinced.
So how do you think this is going to play out then? Do you think Penny
I
will actually get a real DNA test for her own
I think
peace of mind?
she will want to. She will want
Hmm.
to. I think we kind of have figured that it's definitely Harry's baby, right? Because
Yeah, of
otherwise,
course it is.
why is this a thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm not convinced that Nicola believes her at the moment. I feel like Nicola is cleverer than that, and I feel like she's playing for time. Like
Maybe,
when
and maybe she'll like, I can't deal with this fully right
yeah,
now, but
yeah.
all right,
I
yeah,
think
I'll
you're
let you
lying to
think that
me.
I believed you for
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I think you're lying to me. Once
Mm.
I'm sort of I've dealt with the Ivy thing, I'll be back. But for the moment, let's just put this to bed for a
Yeah,
second.
and you
Yeah,
might have a point because didn't Nicola give Penny like the details of a clinic? So maybe Nicola will be like, "Oh, I checked with this clinic and they said this and that, or something along those
yeah,
lines." Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's not
yeah.
over, definitely.
I don't think so. I don't think Penny. I think Penny thinks it's over, but I don't think that
Yes.
it's by any stretch of the imagination over. There is no way that Oscar has been able to
Well,
recreate convincing documentation.
I agree. And then if we're thinking about again New Year's Day and why Jack's looking after Ethan, that
Mm,
will be two very powerful mothers on the square that Penny has wronged. Suke,
mm,
who's going to be dealing with a broken-hearted Vinny. And maybe Nicola does believe it, and then she'll find out it's Harry's, and then Nicola will be, very angry as well at Penny. So there's two, and
maybe
imagine if they
that's
pair up.
yeah. And has that got something to do with what happens to her ankle?
Ah, see,
Mm,
all
we'll
the
see.
pennies are dropping,
All the
Rob.
hey, pennies
A,
dropping. Hey,
A,
We've done that pun. It was the
I
title
know
for
we've
last
already
week's
done that, but
episode. Yeah,
you
we've
know
done
what I
that pun.
mean.
There we go. Right. So yeah, much to sort of unravel
Mm,
here over the coming months. I think. I think there's going to be elements where this story will sort of start intertwining with other stories, and it's going to
mhm.
interesting. Interesting. We'll see what happens. Right, ladies and gents, let's move on to Ian and B. The political campaign of Ian and Elaine continues this week. One of my favourite scenes of the week was Ian's little media interview.
Perfect.
I liked
Literally
that.
perfect.
There were some
Yeah,
great lines in that. Really, really funny
definitely.
lines in that. Yeah, but I just like to. I haven't killed any of my wives. I genuinely had to think, hasn't he? No, no, he hasn't. No,
No, he
he's quite
definitely
right there.
hasn't. No, he's
Can't
not.
even remember himself how many times he's been married. That's good. You have to
Yeah.
check that with Peter, and Peter is just there on the side, just curling into a ball from
Face
cringe.
palming
Brilliant,
the entire
absolutely
way through.
brilliant.
Yeah.
It is now just Ian and Elaine who are apparently up for this now because the other guy has dropped out. So it now is Ian and Elaine. So
Mhm.
I was thinking that other guy was going to get it and then this story would just sort of
Yeah.
fizzle out.
Yeah.
But it appears that one of them has to get it. So what's your
Yeah.
prediction? Who do you reckon's going to get it?
Like you base it on this week, it'd surely be Elaine because she's got a lot more public
Yeah.
interest and public backing, right?
Can
But
you imagine Ian, right? He's putting up posters all around the square of Jasmine's face opposite the Vic behind bars. The man has the subtlety of a sledgehammer being wielded by a
well, this is
giant.
it. If you're trying to get votes, you've just
Yeah,
peed off half of the square who are related to
brilliant.
her in some
Yeah,
way.
this is why
Amazing. Nice
you got
work.
attacked, Ian. This is why people attack you. This is why you are the one of the characters that EastEnders viewers know is a weasel.
Yeah. However, right, if you look at the role that they'd actually have if they win of councillor, who do you think would actually be better? Well, I guess that
Mm.
depends on your politics though as well
Well,
and
yeah,
stuff, doesn't
exactly.
it?
I mean, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the political leanings of London, and I wonder if Elaine would get it
Well,
because
yeah,
London
but
is a
I'm
little bit more liberal than I suspect Ian's politics are.
yes. But then I was thinking, I could imagine Ian actually enjoying doing the work that's involved in being a
He'd be
council,
better
whereas
at that. I
Elaine,
feel like Elaine would get bored.
yeah, Elaine will
Yeah.
win and then be like, oh, I've got to do stuff. Well, that sounds
Well, this is the
boring.
thing.
That sounds
Elaine is only
boring.
doing this to be competitive,
Yeah,
whereas Ian actually would
yeah.
like a political career out of this,
And
wouldn't
she
he?
can literally peacock whilst she's running for
Exactly.
election, can't she?
Yeah.
Then when she's voted in and she's won it,
Yeah, and
then
she's got to
people will
deal
not
with like
be.
dog poo on the streets and all
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Like
exactly.
she's gonna. So maybe that's
Yeah,
what's gonna happen. She's gonna get it, and then she's gonna be like, well, this is crap, and then just
yeah,
drop out of it, and then it'll happen for,
yeah.
and then it'll fizzle out that way. Um, so Ian is busy doing his political campaign, and he gives B a compliment, and from there, B is planning the children, the honeymoon, the marriage. This is what B. This is the kind of the sadness around B, I think, and I feel
Mm,
like there's actually a relatability to B in that sense that if you are a lonely person and you feel
mhm.
like you've been let down by previous partners and all that kind of thing, a compliment from a man can actually do
Yeah,
incredible things to your brain, fill you full of
yeah,
endorphins,
yeah.
and make you fall very quickly in love. Ian and B is a mad pairing.
It is, but you asked earlier about do you prefer Ian and B?
Yeah.
I do, but I do also wonder if Ian and Elaine will still be a thing,
Mm,
and that actually he'll start dating B. He'll start going, she's a bit,
mm.
too out there for me. And
Bizarre.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then maybe him and Elaine will be, drinking some what does she drink? Bailey's a
Bailey's cream. Yeah.
creamy
Irish cream.
pastures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Irish cream. And then Bea will find out, and then she'll be like, her and Elaine already don't get on. So then
Yes.
she'll have daggers for Elaine
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for Ian. So then she'll be
Yes.
plotting against them both. That's where I was expecting it to go. I can't see them actually being a couple.
Oh,
It's
never in a
either
million
that
years. No.
or Ian might use her as some kind of trophy wife, maybe for his
Yeah.
campaign or something.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing. You can say everything like that about B, that how,
Mm,
one compliment and she's married, but
yeah.
also Ian isn't that much better when it comes to that sort
Yeah.
of thing. So,
She might, yeah, she might appease him in some kind of way, but I
yeah,
don't think that they'd have a, loving,
no, they've got
lasting
nothing in common. And I
relationship.
feel like one
Yeah,
little, let's call it a meltdown from B, where a typical
yeah,
B moment, one of
yeah,
them, Ian will run for the hills, right?
yes, yeah, exactly. run into Elaine's arms with
There you
her
go.
her Irish cream, and
We'll
then
have Irish
I'm
cream, yeah.
I think that's where this is going
Mm,
personally. I think they'll start dating.
yeah.
Then Ian will be genuinely interested for a
Mm,
bit. Then he'll
mm,
see what B's really like. Like you say, he'll run for the hills, end up with Elaine, and then B will find out. And I think it'll be when they're nowhere near official anyway, her and Ian. So it'll be
yeah,
one of
yeah,
them
yeah.
where it's like, all right, it weren't the best thing that he could have done. He was kind of seeing it, but he hadn't technically cheated on you because, you were not
You were
an
a
official
thing.
couple. Yeah.
Yeah. But in
But then
B's
she's going to,
minds, they're practically married and have been for the
yes,
past 25 years. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I think that's where that's going to
Yeah,
go.
I think you're right. I feel like I feel like this actually it's ultimately going to be an excuse for B to go crazy about
Yeah.
something, and then that's going to maybe
Yes.
move B into the next section of her story, whatever that
Yes.
may be. I remain fascinated by
We
B,
still
and
don't know,
I
do
still
we?
don't know where she's going, and that's fine. It's
We
not
still
like
don't know
she's
why she were recording Billy and you putting his voice
no.
into an
What
AI.
has she
Like,
got
what is
planned?
that
The
for?
woman's insane. Like, what has she got planned? I love it,
What has
and
she?
it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like any part of her is dragging. I'm just enjoying the sort of journey, drip feeding
Yeah.
journey to get to wherever the culmination of B is going to be. I couldn't tell you how long B has got on the square. I couldn't tell you if she's got a shelf life. I could tell you nothing, and I'm fine with that.
Well, the only other thing I've wondered again with New Year's Day is it maybe all something to do with B and she's like getting all these enemies run up on the square and then actually she's something to do with why the windows smashed in the Queen Vic. Maybe.
Maybe. I
I
mean,
don't
there
know.
is still no reason why she cannot be involved. She cannot be involved in the Mac stuff somewhere along
Yeah.
the way. She's that sort of character that you can see. Oh, yeah, she's in this story now. Yeah, fine.
Mm,
It's just she's
yeah,
just that sort of
definitely.
character. So
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. We'll see where that goes from there. Right, next story. Right, Vicky, Ross, and Zach for penultimate story this week. So the lad pad in Martin's shed has been
Lad pad.
approved.
I
The
like
lad
that.
pad, yeah, the lad pad in Martin's shed has been
Mm.
approved by Vicky and the women of Martin. They're all gone, yeah, all right, yeah, go do what you want because I'm glad that they rightly said Martin would have loved that.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
Martin's. That would be Martin's like second
Yeah.
home. He'd love that.
Yeah.
So you've got sort of the men of Walford, Ross, Harvey, Howie, and Ian, of course, sort of taking advantage of that. And the topic of Vicky's little fling comes up, and Zach's there as well, which is why it suddenly gets awkward because Ross is kind of like, I don't know if the trust is still there. I feel like the trust has fizzled out, and I'm about to
Mm.
marry this woman. Am I making a mistake? And Ian obviously go, yeah, the woman's the whore. To like, obviously don't marry
Just
her.
like
That's
a
a ridiculous
father.
thing. Just like a
Yeah.
father, they were both whores. This woman that is related to me, terrible woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and everybody else is sort of like, well, it happened, and it happened for a reason. You've had some tricky times to say the least, the pair of you, but you love her, so let's just see how it goes from
Mm.
there. And Zach sort of twiddling his thumbs and being all awkward.
Yeah.
Yes. Are they going to make it down the aisle? These two? I feel like it's not a great match, in all honesty.
It's not now. Like the trust is gone.
Of course it is, and the whole
Unless
Joel aspect
unless you
of it
can give it
makes
time, but I still even think with time the trust is gone from Ross's side. If he's going to keep
well,
bringing it up every 2 minutes,
well, of
which is
course
fair enough as well, but
it
also
is.
like,
But then I would understand. Yeah, obviously we know what went on, but also I
mm,
could kind of understand it from Dicky's point if it had been anybody, considering what happened with Joel. And talking of time, Joel got 6 months in a young offenders institute. That feels mad. 6 months
yeah,
of what
it
he
really
did.
does. Yeah,
But then
and do they
I
always
bet
even serve 6 months as well?
probably not. But then does this mean that Joel's coming back then? Because I think we thought that that was Joel done and dusted and we never see him again.
We did say. I wonder how long he's in for. Will they bring him back when he's released? We did. I
Mm.
think we did ponder that. But it sounds like it, unless they're going to split up before that happens and Ross is going to leave or
And Ross is gonna.
something.
That's the only way I
Yeah,
feel like Joel doesn't come back, right? Because
yeah,
where is
yeah,
Joel gonna live in the meantime? It's not
yeah.
like I'm assuming they don't provide accommodation for people that have just come out of young offenders
Well,
institute.
that's what they said. They said usually like when they come out of young offenders, if the parents like won't they can't live with the
Yeah,
parents, it'd be a hostel, and
there's
then
no
Ross
way
said
he can
even the
go home.
hostels are often too busy, so
Yeah,
it might be on the street.
but there's no way that he can go back to living with Vicky. All right, no way in hell. Like Vicky can do all of the platitudes that she likes and say, yeah,
Mm.
of course he can come back. Things will have to change. But like, she doesn't mean that. She's terrified of him, and so she should be.
I understand like both sides. Like Ross can't leave his kid. That's still
No,
his kid at the end of the
I
day.
don't think Ross is
And
being unreasonable about this. Like,
no,
it's his
no,
son. Like, you get
yeah,
it, right?
yeah. But then also, yeah, how can Vicky live with him after what's happened?
Yeah, she
Maybe
can't.
if they do a bit more time and she could see how actually he's changed his ways.
Yeah.
But there's no way that he's going to have changed in six
No.
months and
And
then
it's
go
6
live back
months.
with her.
And
And he's just
also,
been put away for the crime that he did to her to then
yeah,
go back and live with her is madness.
and I'm not being funny. I mean, I don't really know what the sort of the culture is like in a young offenders institute, but he's going to be with a
Yeah.
load of young lads his own age.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's be real, a lot of them aren't exactly going to be turning around to Joel and saying your attitude towards women is terrible. They're not going to be
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
him like classes and lectures. He's not going to come out of there a changed man in
No.
6 months, which he's probably not even going to do the full term of. So
Yeah, if anything, he's potentially going to have been
going to be
around
worse.
like-minded people, and yeah,
Exactly, because
potentially
he's not
worse.
going to
Yeah,
be the only person in the young offenders. I know I'm not trying to like sort of tar everybody in the young offenders with the same brush. I mean, Christ sake,
yeah,
Oscar came out of one when we
yeah,
first met him, and he's not like that. But presumably there are
yeah,
going to be other people that think like Joel in that
yeah.
sort of environment, right?
Yeah, they could write it either way though, because then on the flip side of that, you could say that actually a lot of people in there might be quite defensive about not hitting women, and then when they find
Mm,
out what Joel's done, they might target him for that because they're the complete opposite way. But I think you could easily encounter both
mm,
scenarios. I don't think that he'll change his ways in 6 months. I think,
no.
like you're saying, he'd definitely cling to the most like-minded people
Of
in
course he
there,
would.
surely.
He has not changed his mind about anything. Like all
No.
of this has not altered Joel's mindset. That's the one thing we know about him.
Mm.
He's figured, right, okay, I've got to go to prison to
Yeah.
show my dad that I'm capable
Yeah.
of receiving a
Yeah.
punishment. But there was nothing about his views about Vicky
No.
or women in general that will have
No.
changed at all.
It's a strange one, this, because how would you feel then if in 6 months' time Ross and Vicky are still together, they're still on the square, and they go, right, Joel's coming out? Because for me, it feels done. It'd be too soon to bring him back and
See, funnily
redo it
enough,
all.
I'm intrigued to. I don't think we are going to. I feel like Ross and Vicky will be done by the time that Joel's 6 month thing
Yeah.
comes to an end anyway, and arguably Ross might not even be around at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a shame because I feel like I would quite like to see the part two of this story.
I'd like to see more of Ross, to be fair. I feel
Yeah.
like we see bits. I think we've seen like the surface of this guy. I think there's more to see of him, and I think
Mm.
that it fits in well. His character fits in with the square really well.
Yeah, it's a very good community character, which is always
Yes.
something that people forget about, that you need these
Mm.
community characters to make the show sort of feel alive and buzz. And sometimes, a character like basically anybody that was at that lads pad is a good community character, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what you
Definitely.
need.
Yeah.
And they are always the ones that sort of tend to get axed first. And,
Yeah.
sort of people tend to say, oh, you could write them out and it wouldn't affect the show whatsoever. And actually, you do need that sort of stuff bubbling
Yeah.
around the background. Like Bernie, for example, even though we said that she probably is done now. I feel like Bernie's gone, but she was also a very good community character. So
Yeah.
you lose that from
Definitely.
the cast or
Yeah.
something. So you've got to
Mm.
sort of think about these things. But I would kind of like to see the next part of Joel and to sort of discover, is it possible to change these young lads' mindsets? Like, yeah, he's been to prison, and that is a logical story narrative
Yeah.
way for it to end. But at the same time, in real life, you come out of young offenders and you've got to sort of
Mm.
be reinstated back into the world again. Like, how do you do that? Is it possible?
Yeah. Interesting. It would be a good way. It would be interesting for them to explore.
Mm.
But I don't know whether it is possible. I don't know. You'd
I don't
think it
know.
is, surely, because if it were at his age, if it were completely done with, then surely Ross wouldn't even consider him living with him. He obviously thinks that he can make some kind of difference to him,
Yeah,
but I don't know how. I don't know
well, I
how
guess
you
we'll
would do
see.
that.
But Vicky and Zach, I mean, I'm surprised it didn't happen again
Any
this
minute
week for
now.
once. Any
You
minute
said
now.
last week it'll be
Any
next
minute
week.
now. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I think next week. I don't know why. I've got no proof or anything. I've not seen any spoilers or
Well,
anything. Next week they will sleep together. I'm telling you now. If
you
they're in next,
think
if this
are they going
story
to
is
have an
in,
affair?
yeah, 100%
Yeah.
they are. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, the fact that Mark knows about this sort of thing, the fact that Mark knows
Yeah.
about it, and Mark owes someone 100 grand. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some sort of thing occurring there as well.
But who would he get it from? Zach, you mean? Like he might
Well,
try and
either
blackmail
one of them.
Zach.
Maybe. Maybe. There's just a thing where it's like, there's a reason that Mark is the one that knows this, and there's a reason this whole 100 grand thing
Well,
is hanging in the air as
true.
well.
I did wonder that, but then like last week we said, is Mark just involved so that Vicky's got somebody to air her feelings out
Yeah.
to, so that
A
she's
bit of
got,
both. Bit of
yeah,
both, I would say.
possibly, yeah.
A bit of
We've not
both,
seen much
but
of Mark really, have we? He's kind of
he's
faded into the
sulking. He's
background just a
sulking
little
in a
bit.
corner somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Just been
literally, yeah.
like looking all grumpy somewhere. So yeah, I feel like the Mark element is going to come into play with
Hmm.
this. But yeah, Zach and Vicky, if they are in next week, they'll have slept together by the end of next week. I'm telling you now.
All right,
100%.
yeah. Mark your words on
100%.
that one.
Mark my
Mark
words.
your words.
Adamant, adamant, I am adamant. Any minute now. Yes. Right, ladies and gents, let's move on now to the big story of the week. Jasmine apparently is innocent. So Jasmine Innocent. I don't know how she managed
Jasmine
this. I'll be
Innocent.
honest.
Sorry, go on.
Jasmine Innocent. Yeah, I don't know how she managed this. The judicial system in Walford is out of its head. I'm telling you now.
Oh,
Joel gets 6 months and Jasmine's innocent. Are you joking me?
and I think that okay, maybe it's because I was expecting her to be found not guilty because of, otherwise,
Yeah.
how do we get to New Year's Day
Oh, I
that we're
was
trying to
100% expecting
decide?
her. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
100% expecting her to be not guilty, but at the same time, I'm sort of like, how?
But then
Given
I
the
was watching
evidence,
it, but then I was watching it like, oh, she's gonna get found not guilty. So maybe I
yeah,
wasn't watching it like as open-mindedly. Is
maybe.
that a
I
word?
just thought, like,
Open-mindedly?
open-mindedly. I mean, I just sort of like, given the fact that Kat, her own grandmother, basically stood on the dock and was like, "Oh, she's a nutter. I don't trust her at all." And then they've got visual evidence of
She
her
didn't
attacking somebody.
quite
She
say
didn't
that
quite
though.
say that,
They
but she
just said, "Do
might
you
as
think
well
that
have
she's
done.
lying?" And she said yes.
Yeah, but she also said that she was nervous around Jasmine, didn't she?
Yeah,
So,
but you could argue that that's because she didn't know her at all. She
mm,
didn't specifically say, there's just something about her, I get a bad vibe. It's not like
got a
she
feeling,
specifically
got a
said it.
feeling.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
gut says there's
my
something
gut
off.
says
She
this.
didn't say
Well,
any of that. They just said, "Do you think she was lying?" And she was like, "Do you think she
yeah,
could be lying?" And she was like, "Yeah."
yeah.
But then
Which
it's like, well, how
you know,
would
you
she know though, really?
I mean, it's
I
interesting
get
with this
it.
because we had a conversation with Sandra this week. Kat and Sandra had a sit down talk about Jasmine, and I feel like I was expecting something a bit more solid from Sandra in terms of why she is like she is with Jasmine. And I mean, if I got this
Yeah.
right, everything that she's saying is based on what Jasmine was doing when she was 8 years old.
Yes. So basically, Sandra is actually quite a bad person after this week to me. Because how
It's
can you
interesting,
desert?
isn't it?
You're blaming an 8-year-old for your
Yeah, it
husband
feels
dying
like actually
because
what
you think,
she's
oh, maybe she turned the wheel or something.
this
Like,
is the thing. I feel like actually what's happened here is Sandra is looking for someone to blame for her
yeah,
husband's death, right? And
yeah,
so she's taken that to be the only other person that was there when it happened, and she's blaming effectively an 8-year-old kid and has never forgiven her since.
yeah. And then didn't she say that she like, hadn't she previously said that like Jasmine was emotionless when she found out that he died?
What does an
But then,
eight-year-old do in that
well,
situation?
we found
Shocked,
out.
numb?
Well, I think this is just the explanation of everything with Jasmine, and I'm not sure we're going to find out anything else, right? Because to me, what's being described this week is that Jasmine was having a really nice day as an 8-year-old child. She's finally found this loving home after being moved around for so many
Yeah,
years. She's driving home with her dad. Oh no, I forgot my sticker. Can you go back and get it? Then on the way home, her dad dies in some tragic accident and she watches him die with his head
yeah.
like in this horrendous way.
Yeah,
That
like through
explains
the window screen.
everything.
That is so
Yeah.
traumatic for any 8-year-old. Like, it's no wonder
For
Jasmine's
any
the way she is.
person, let alone an
Yeah,
8-year-old, you
yeah.
see. So that
Like,
explains everything, right? And that's probably why she appeared emotionless when
yeah,
Sandra said it, because she was like traumatized from what she just witnessed and were probably quite numb and were like,
yeah. And then
probably what I've just
effectively,
seen.
and then effectively to be blamed for that. And then
Yeah,
also when you take into account that it seems like basically Sandra took Josh on, and then obviously because they're twins, Jasmine came with him, and she just
yeah.
didn't want Jasmine at all.
Do you think that's what it is? She never wanted Jasmine anyway or
I feel
something?
like that's the message that we got from
Or
Sandra this
like,
week. Because obviously she's insanely
yeah,
close to Josh, but at
yeah.
no point during any of the upbringing did she particularly want Jasmine in the mix at all, is what I
Well, I
got from
think
it.
Jasmine touched on it a bit, didn't she? And said, yeah, I'm not denying that I wasn't a difficult child. So she was already saying she'd kind of got tarred with the you're the awkward, difficult
Yeah,
child. But
yeah,
so maybe Sandra already like, God, you're an handful. Then this happened. So it's like, well, obviously you're to blame. And then in Sandra's grief, maybe she thought, I can't handle both the kids. But sorry, end it. If you're going to commit to taking on twins, you can't just, like, that's awful.
no,
You
you
can't
can't
just
just
go,
have
well, you're a
one.
bad one, you're difficult, and then, oh, now I'm going to say you're responsible for my husband's death.
And then Jasmine, because we had the first meeting of Jasmine and Josh this week, which I thought was actually a really
Yes.
strong scene between the pair of them.
Yes.
And some interesting stuff, sort of like it feels like Jasmine kind of blames Josh, or not doesn't blame Josh, but sort of holds it against him that he was
She's got
wanted and she
bitterness.
wasn't. Yeah, of course she has. And I feel like that actually is understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Especially, but at the same time, I don't think that I think if she gets to know him again, she can. Maybe she's mature enough to now go, well, it's not his fault that,
Well,
Sandra chose to keep him, kind of thing.
you can understand why she might be angry towards Josh when he is literally groping Oscar in the middle of the court case.
What on earth?
I
Josh,
think
now is
what that was
not the
I
time.
feel like that what that was supposed to be was him sort of like, a kind of squeeze on the knee of support or something like that. But it
Yeah.
just looked like he was groping him and like giving him a
Yes.
quick feel up in the middle of the
Yeah,
courtroom.
but you know what? Having said that, right, given their history, like had they not got the history that they've got with each other, he wouldn't have done that. So it was
Yeah.
quite a like personal thing to do. So in a
Yeah, he
way,
wasn't just like giving him a hand job in the back of the courtroom. It was supposed to be a moment of support, I think, but it
well,
just came across as a little bit sexual.
I feel like a knee's a bit more intimate than like maybe a little pat on the back or something. I don't
Yeah, a sort of
know.
shoulder squeeze or something might have
Yeah,
been,
something
yeah,
like that.
might have been
Yeah.
slightly, yeah, I don't
And
know.
it's also a bit like secretive, you could say in a way as well. Like,
Oh, there is no doubt that this is still a thing
yeah,
between the pair of them. They keep
of
giving
course.
each other little looks across the
Hmm.
square and all of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like any minute now, Ree, any minute now. So yeah, the court case itself. I mean,
Mm.
I love court scenes. They're my
Yeah.
favorite in soap. I
Yeah.
love them. They're really like dialogue heavy and intense and
Yes.
sort of like character revealing and all that kind of thing. I love them. And I feel like there was some really strong scenes with Jasmine this week. I know Jasmine is a difficult character for some, and I wonder if some of that is because we don't quite know where to put her. We don't know whether she's a
Yes.
villain. I feel like the thing is with Jasmine, like everything that she's been accused of, and I said, I know I said at the start of this, I'm not
Mm.
quite sure how she got innocent. Like it's, yes, she is innocent, really, because actually the worst thing we have seen her do was that one week where she was a bit Machiavellian about Oscar, and like whispering to Max, "I
Yeah.
win," and all that kind of thing. I feel
Yeah.
like actually that's her worst week. Like, yeah, arguably you could then say, but she also locked Zoe in a burning room and all
I was
that kind of thing.
literally just going to say to you, do you not remember a locking Zoe
Yeah,
in a
but then at the
fire?
same time, at least the excuse we're being given for that was Chrissy. So
Yeah.
if at the same time it's sort of like I still don't know with Jasmine whether we've got a villain on our hands here or whether she is somebody that is a redeemable character and is just looking for love and all that kind of thing. I feel like it's a bit of
I think we're supposed to think that she's redeemable given what's gone on this week. I think at this point we're supposed to think she's a victim of circumstance, and that
yeah,
is why she's the way that she now is, which is
yeah,
why she's quite bitter towards like people generally, like why she was the way she was with Zoe at first.
mm,
But then like now Kat's taken her in and she was like, oh, Jasmine Slater. Like that's gonna be a thing.
yeah,
I think that we're meant to think that she's redeemable. However, the only thing I've got at the back of my mind that I don't know whether they're going to cover it or not, or if that's done with, is her adoptive parents, the Fishers, and her adoptive mum said something about her adoptive dad and how he was a wrong un and how
mm,
Jasmine had fallen in with that. But then,
yeah.
like everyone keeps saying, "Oh, she's a wrong un," and then when we find out what they think she's a wrong un about, it's not that deep.
Right.
Is that
So
going to be the case with her adoptive parents? What's
well, this
happened after she left Sandra?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with it. Like everything that she's been accused of up to this point, the Cindy stuff, we saw it ourselves. That was literal
Mm?
self-defense. Cindy charged at her, and
Yeah,
Jasmine pushed her away.
yeah,
Unfortunately, they were on a flight of stairs when that happened. And
yeah.
Cindy, being the melodramatic drama
Hmm.
queen that she is, believes that Jasmine wants her dead, and still does
Yeah,
to this day. All right.
yeah.
The Anthony stuff, yeah, again, self-defense. You can argue, like he
Hmm.
literally charged at her, and she lashed out and was trying to stop him from killing Zoe. Like you can see the self-defense argument
Hmm.
there. I kind of wonder if Jasmine is just going to be one of these people that is expecting to be let down, and so that's why she's so angry at the rest of the world. And thereby, everything that's going to come,
Yeah,
presumably with the reveal of Josh and Oscar, that's again going to put her in the bad
yeah,
person light because of how she's
yes,
going to react to that.
yes. And also, she's been brought up now to think everyone's going to blame me anyway, so I need to
Yeah,
lie,
yeah.
otherwise, because no one will ever believe me. So I've got to
Constantly
lie my way
self-defense,
through.
constantly defensive
Yeah,
because she feels like she has to be.
yeah, yeah.
More and more, I'm thinking actually she's quite a fascinating character. I won't lie to you. I'm actually really enjoying her now.
Yeah, I wonder how she's going to fit in with the Slaters and what's going to be next for her. Obviously, it's going to be the whole Oscar and Josh. and her triangle.
Yeah.
Her and Oscar are straight away back on. Did you
Yeah,
notice?
oh yeah,
Like, oh
100%. But
yeah,
I
you're
feel
out
like
there.
Oscar actually is in love with her. Like, I don't feel like there's any point we've doubted that Oscar was in love with her because even the sleeping with Josh before he knew about the fact that Josh is
Yeah,
her brother, like that was that whole thing that Oscar does, the Branning way of
yeah,
doing things, where it's just like,
yeah.
right, get under
Like a
somebody to get over
rebound
somebody,
almost. Yeah,
ricochet. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So. But then he's obviously going to start falling for Oscar as well, for Josh as well, and it's going
Josh.
to
Yeah,
just be a
yeah,
triangle that is going to all come out, and Jasmine's going to be left rejected again. She's got a
yes,
very tragic life, really, hasn't she?
yeah. Poor Jasmine. She's one of
She's,
them.
she's
She's not destined for. And then she's
no,
moved to Albert Square,
yeah.
thinking
Good luck
everything will
getting
be.
happiness there.
Yeah,
Moving into the
yeah.
Queen Vic as well, the place where all happiness lives in the Queen Vic, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and I will say as well that actually I thought that Indiana Dance on Wholeness was brilliant this week. I thought she gave some really, really strong
Yes.
performances.
I like her. I'm glad that she's back. I'm glad that she's
Yeah,
out of jail, and I just don't know where they're going to head with things
this
next.
is the
That's what I
thing.
can't quite figure out where it's
I
going.
don't, yeah, and I just feel like it's going to be interesting to sort of see how she tries and integrates into the Slaters. Not everybody in that family trusts her. Zoe, of course, is completely and utterly blinded from
Yeah.
anything. Like, she's forgiven Jasmine for everything and then some.
Hmm.
I feel like Alfie just wants a quiet life, so we'll deal with anything that comes his way. Kat, does she trust her yet?
I think she's warming to her. I think she managed to convince her in the court. I think she genuinely convinced Kat that she was innocent.
And did she
And I
convince us
think,
as well? I feel like she maybe did.
yeah, I thought she
Yeah.
was innocent anyway, to be fair. I thought it was self-defense. I don't
Mm.
believe that she went in there with like and thought, I know I'll kill him because I think she genuinely it was self-defense. I don't think she meant to hit him. I don't think when she hit him she thought, right, I hope this kills you.
Yeah.
You could also argue, if you really want to delve psychologically, right, that given what happened to her with the dad and the fact that she witnessed a parent get killed, that she was triggered when she saw Zoe in that state.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is why she hit him so hard because
I
she
was
thought, I can't
ex
watch another parent die in front of me.
Yeah, 100% actually. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was expecting something to be revealed about Keith, that he was, I don't know,
Mm.
touching her up or abusing her or something that would sort
Touching
of,
her up,
no, you know what I
yeah.
mean though, like some
Yeah.
sort of really dark thing that would sort of,
No, I wonder if Josh was always Sandra's favourite and
yeah.
Jasmine were just Keith's favourite, and I think it was a
Oh,
very
you reckon?
innocent. Yeah, I think it was like that. So it were a double
I,
whammy for Jasmine that her
yeah.
favourite parent, the
I
one that she
think
was
the thing
closest
that
to.
really sort of cemented that actually Jasmine isn't that bad was when you've got Sandra blaming an 8-year-old for absolutely everything and claiming
Yeah,
that she is this dark, horrific human being. That, oh, I
yeah,
know her. You need to trust your gut with that one. She's a wrong, and then all that kind of thing. Like, you are basing that on the actions of an 8-year-old and
yeah,
actions that you are actually making up in order to appease yourself that your husband has died.
yes. Sandra's just come across as a bad egg in all of this, hasn't she?
Yes, I was surprised that it's that simple in Sandra's head. Like, she
Yeah,
was the only one there, so she's the one I've got to blame for the situation. Oh, and it makes total sense because she used to lash out as a 7-year-old or an eight
yeah,
year
yeah,
old. Like, she
yeah.
would be like, give me a kid that doesn't lash out when they don't get their own way. You know what I mean?
And
Like, it
also,
sounds like she was
like,
just being a kid,
what a life she had prior to being taken in anyway.
right?
But because Josh was this easy kid who didn't react like that, then he was the
Yeah.
good, which is what Jasmine
Yeah,
said,
that's
isn't it?
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh has been sort of almost so laid back he's horizontal about the
Mm.
whole sort of the whole
Yeah.
thing, and Jasmine has been the one that has taken the emotional sort of battering from it all.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. But I do wonder, again, like I said, with the adoptive parents that she then gained after leaving Sandra's, what happened there? Because her adoptive mum had washed her hands of her as well.
Yeah,
Why
so
would her
she just been
adoptive mum do that after she knows what happened with the Sandra stuff as well?
yeah.
For her to do that, did something else happen?
She is just, I don't know, I feel like she has just been, maybe there's a section of it where, yes, she is busy reacting, and then, when you become a teenager you become angry at the world anyway, because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
teenagers do, right? So
yeah.
when you've got as much reason to be angry at the world as
Mm,
Jasmine had by that point, yeah, you're going to be dealing with a really difficult teenager growing up there.
true.
So I feel like there's an element that when you're fostering somebody, maybe there's a part of you that thinks if it gets too bad, like, do you what, screw it, you're not my kid. Like, good luck
Yeah.
to somebody else. Like, I
Mm.
can't handle you. And that's how you end up getting passed from home to home to home to home. But for
Yeah.
Sandra to turn around and say that I'm not surprised that she's up for murder, then it
Murder.
murder. I like that.
Murder.
I love the way Scottish people say murder. There's been a murder. Um, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, like
Yeah.
so. Jasmine seems to be a victim of circumstance
Yes.
and is reacting accordingly to that.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to see as well is I think Zoe is actually going to, ironically, considering she was looking for a son all this time, maybe neglect Josh a little bit and look at Josh and think, well, you had a good upbringing. Sandra didn't deserve you, didn't desert you.
Yeah,
You've had a good life, and then take a lot more care of Jasmine, and then Josh will end up more with the Trumans.
yeah, maybe. Josh does work with the Trumans really nicely. In fact, we
Yeah.
arguably we haven't seen that much Slater Josh dynamics yet. So
No,
it's
that's
going
what
to
I
be
mean. I wonder if that's
yeah,
how
yeah,
it's going
yeah.
to stay, that they
Yeah, and
kind of
he
split
clearly
between the.
feels more comfortable with them than he does anybody else. Obviously,
Mm,
now Jasmine is living on the square. She's apparently going to be working at the Vic. That's going to be interesting to sort of see how she interacts with the Trumans from that point onwards. We've got
yeah.
Patrick to come back as well because
Hmm.
Patrick's kind of gone, screw this. I'm going to go
Yeah.
see Isaac for a bit. So when he comes back, how's he going to react to that? I wonder now the whole love triangle thing. Part of me wonders whether Zoe or Kat is going to discover that first, and then a secret's going to be held, and then that when all of that gets revealed, it's going to be a big explosion from Jasmine.
Oh,
And
possibly.
one thing, yeah, we're sat here defending Jasmine and saying victim of circumstance, bless her, it's understandable why she's here,
Mm,
but at the same point, she is here, and her reaction to that is going to be explosive. And what is she capable of from that point onwards? Just when she
yeah.
thinks that she's got everything she wanted in life, and it's getting ripped away from her again.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, it's not going to be good, is it? Yeah.
Interesting. I get, yeah. Now we've been as we've been talking, I'm like interesting week actually, and Jasmine is a
Mm,
really interesting character. I'm sort
yes.
of
I,
unpredictable, but not unpredictable in the same way that B is, but
I
sort of
do.
like,
For me, Jasmine and Josh can't live in harmony together. One of them's going to potentially die. That's where I've got it
oh,
in my
I'm
head.
convinced Josh is going to die at some
You think
point.
it's Josh? I
Oh,
wonder if it could be
100%.
Jasmine. It depends on how much they can redeem Jasmine and make us like her. Because right now they're actually doing a pretty good job of it. I
Mm,
feel sorry for her. But
but
then are we going to find out that she's done other stuff that we
it's
can't
going to
feel
take what? Yeah,
sorry
it's going
for?
to take one thing. It's going
Yeah,
to, and it'll be the love triangle. I think. I
yeah.
feel, but then New Year's Day, I don't know. Is there? There wasn't any suggestion that something like that had gone on, but I feel
Well,
like
this is
Patrick
what.
would be more upset by that point. If Josh had died, Patrick would be inconsolable, right?
Yeah, true. Well, it might be after. It might be after New Year's Day anyway.
You
It'll have
reckon?
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Either
yeah, yeah.
way,
I think they'll still be there
Josh
because
is
we need
doomed
to
in my head.
know how much of a build-up can we have of Oscar and finding out which Truman he's with.
Mm.
This is what makes me think he's with Josh because I think
Oh
he's
yeah, he's
gelled with the
100% with
Trumans
Josh. He's
more.
100% with Josh. Like there is no way that Patrick would be that accommodating to anybody with Jasmine. I just don't, and I feel like the Trumans aren't going to forgive that easily. And
Mm.
it's certainly not going to be done by New Year's Day, even if it does happen.
I don't know. I feel like Patrick could potentially. It'll be through Yolande, who's already said, that her faith has helped her understand, like, learn forgiveness.
Yolanda's going to be a bit of a linchpin role in all of this, I think, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think there is a possibility, but I don't think that he'd take her on as a Truman that
No, never in a
soon.
million years.
No.
Never in a million years. So,
Or it's
where
a red
does
herring,
this
her saying
a red
Jasmine
herring?
Slater, so that we
Yeah,
think all
yeah.
this. Yeah.
Red. Do you know what? Half of me expected her name to have changed in the credits at the end of that
Yes,
episode.
I
I looked
wondered
out
that as
for it.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still say give it time. I
Yeah.
wonder if
I
we will
agree.
see the name Jasmine Slater on the credits by the
Yeah.
time the year's out. But
Hmm.
yeah, really interesting stuff this week with this. I am
Mm.
I'm glad to say that actually with the Jasmine story. I'm now intrigued to see where it goes next
Yeah.
because at points this has been a trial to get through to get to this point, but maybe
Literally. Yeah.
I think we're being but I think we're being rewarded for it now in terms of
Yeah.
character development and sort of seeing
Yes.
where it's going to go from here. Interesting. By that, Jasmine gets my gold star this week.
I was going to say the same. So
You
two
can.
gold stars.
Two
Two
gold
gold
stars to
stars to
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Fair play
Yeah.
to her. Yeah, fair
Hmm.
play. Let us know who your gold stars are going to, and we'll finish the podcast as usual with some comments from you.
Before we get to the comments, we've got a little bit of news this week. So,
Nina,
spoiler
Nina,
sirens, yes.
Nina.
It is an announcement, which is why I was saying it, about an upcoming
Yes.
storyline. Over the past few months, EastEnders viewers have seen Ravi's mental health deteriorating. The storyline will come to a climax later this month when Ravi considers taking his own life. Over the next few weeks, viewers will see how Ravi struggles, feeling powerless and believing he is unable to protect his family. As Ravi reaches a crisis point, his family are finally able to get him to accept the help he needs. EastEnders has been working with the Samaritans on this part of Ravi's mental health storyline to ensure it is portrayed as accurately and as sensitively as possible.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yes. I think a natural path for the storyline to go.
Yeah,
Part of me kind of thinks it a bit soon after Phil, maybe, but
agreed. You could argue that it'll be a different,
yeah,
like, obviously, it's still a focus on male mental health, but Phil's a
yeah.
bit older. But for me, it's like Phil's was more organic and it's out of his lifestyle
Mm.
circumstance, I
Yeah,
want to say.
yeah,
Whereas this is just part, it feels like it's part of Ravi's redemption arc.
yeah. Mm.
I don't know, it doesn't feel as though like he has done some bad things and they go in and then this is what's happening. I don't know how I feel about it, if I'm honest. I don't feel like it's quite
Earned. So
justified. Yeah, earned, yes, yes.
what I would say is, I feel like male mental health is something that I don't think that we should need that much excuse to talk about, because it's
Agreed, yeah,
still a
100%.
huge thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I even when I was on my journeys around the UK the other day, I saw plenty of posters, obviously at train stations and all that kind of
Mm,
thing, saying that still the biggest killer of men under 25 is
yeah.
suicide. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Ravi's not over the age of 25, but the point remains that male
Yeah.
mental health is still a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
So for something like this, Aaron Thiara will knock it out of the park. There's no doubt
Oh, of
about
course,
that.
no doubt.
Like,
Yeah.
we know that, and everyone involved in the Panasar story
Mm.
will be fantastic. So, do you know what? Fine. Arguably, it feels almost like this breakdown is a punishment for what he's done,
Yeah,
which
and this
feels
is
slightly odd, but
yeah, and with this being such an issue-based storyline,
mm,
it should be focused on maybe like his feeling of worth from a different storyline because this is all culminated from really the Kojo stuff,
yeah, and then obviously leading
essentially.
into what he did to Nugget as well. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's yeah. I mean, obviously, I feel like when we're actually there, it'll all
yeah,
be laid out, and sort
yes,
of like the
yeah.
reasoning behind it all will all make
Mm.
sense and everything. Yeah, I mean, like I say, as far as I'm concerned, male mental health, fine, do what you need to do with it.
Hmm.
And obviously, it can affect anybody at any age, as we saw with Phil as well. So. And then suicide is something that we always need to
Hmm.
talk about and always kind of keep in the headlines
Yeah.
and so yeah, reasoning behind it possibly a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what it is that doesn't sit
Yeah,
quite right. Like they could have
yeah,
maybe if they'd kind of put all of the other things to bed, so to speak,
mm,
and this was culminating from maybe him feeling like he's having money struggles or something and he
yeah,
can't
yeah,
provide for his family in the way that he wants. It'd feel a bit more, I don't know if justified is the right word that I'm looking for
mm.
or deserved, but yeah,
But
you,
then I suppose you could argue that it can be triggered by anything. Okay, and this, yeah,
yeah, of
this
course,
is
yeah.
this is the way that they've chosen to do it.
Mm,
But it's ultimately it's for a good cause,
mm.
so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's
I
yeah,
guess I guess you could argue that actually some forms of male suicide do come from people who've done bad things and they just don't
yeah,
know how they
dealing with
can
the
ever get
guilt of it.
over it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess you could argue actually, no, it's showing it from a different
Mm,
perspective of, well, somebody's done something so bad, but do you think that it should drive them to that? Or at
mm,
what point can you forgive somebody so that they stop
yeah,
feeling guilty? So I guess you could argue both points
yeah.
and we need to see how well it's done, I guess. But
I guess
like
we'll
you said,
see.
Aaron Tiara, no doubts about it.
I'm looking forward to that aspect of
I'm
it.
a
And
huge Ravi
actually,
stan, as we
I know you
know.
are.
He's one of my
Yeah,
favourite
I
characters,
know. I
actually.
know. I know. Well, you know why?
Honestly.
Because he's a drug dealer. That's why.
Oh,
So,
that must be it. I know who to go to.
oh dear. Comments this week, Ree.
We've got a comment here from Alison who says, Gold star to Jasmine. She's either an actual victim or a cold hearted killer, and the audience can decide which. I'm still team Josh and Oscar.
Cold-hearted killer. I don't think she is just yet. I mean, yes, she's responsible for. Mind you, half the square is responsible for deaths at this point. What I did find interesting actually on that this week was the whole like they kept sort of like referencing Denise through little looks and everything, and obviously related to
Yes.
what she was doing with the Six storyline. I thought that
Yes.
maybe that might be a way in for Jasmine with the Trumans via
Yes,
Denise.
definitely. Yes, and obviously you're going to have Kim, who's constantly like, "Oh, she's a killer." Like,
Yeah,
why is
yeah,
everyone?
yeah.
And Denise is going to be like you say. I forgot to mention that as well because she's
Mm,
said a few things this week, didn't she, Denise? Like,
yeah.
you don't ever know what you do until you're in that situation. You've also got Chelsea, who saw that side to Anthony whilst he was alive. When
Yeah.
he first found out about the twins, Chelsea definitely saw a side to him, so maybe she can be the one who can
Yeah.
be like, "Look, guys, I saw that side, okay." But
Mm.
again, I think we're never going to see Sophie and her kids, so why
No,
are they
that'd be
even
yes.
bothered with any of
Bad.
that? Like,
I mean, also interesting that of all the defense that they were trying to give Jasmine this week, nobody mentioned Anthony's restraining order.
right?
That
Yeah,
felt odd.
so true.
Yeah,
I also thought, like I mentioned earlier, about the fact that she'd already witnessed one parent be killed would have been a pretty good argument for the
yeah,
defense as well. To be
yeah.
like, she obviously panicked in the
Didn't need
moment. She's
it. Didn't
already
need it.
experienced. Oh, she had Richie. Come on.
Yeah, God, Richie could do. Oh,
Who like
What does Richie
Well,
do? I
who
want to
2 minutes before were like, you should probably plead
probably
guilty,
plead guilty. I
actually.
think you're screwed
Yeah, just plead
personally.
guilty.
Richie's
Yeah.
literally been telling her throughout the entire case, you're screwed.
Yeah, hadn't she? It was
Hey,
Jasmine. It were all Jasmine who got
yeah,
herself off.
there
There
you
you
go.
go.
Jake Ratcliffe has said, even though it was obvious, I'm quite annoyed that Jasmine got off, as she's guilty and very obviously disturbed. Fear for a lot of people on the square. I think Sandra has got away in good time, as I thought at one point tonight that Jasmine was going to kill her when watching her and Josh through the window. Really confused about whether they want us to like Jasmine or not. She seems very cold and calculated, those nearest to her fear her. But then they seem to be trying to simultaneously build this redemption arc, but I'm just not buying it. I don't know what happened exactly with Keith, but I'm 100% with Sandra. She's right to be suspicious. P.S. Love the Sharon Stone cameo. So
Interesting.
this is what I mean. It's sort of I feel like
Hmm.
this is very deliberate though from the show. Like I don't
Yeah.
think they want us to be quite sure where to put Jasmine.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't know though, like given what's happened, I guess you could somewhat compare this to like Joel. Like Joel has learned some of these behaviors and things over the years. Could he change his way of thinking? And then Jasmine, who's been this victim of circumstance, can she, like, it feels like Jasmine could change more than Joel, is what I'm trying to say here. So for me,
Yeah,
it feels like but then we don't know the full story, I guess, with her. So I'm saying this, and it feels like we've not got the full. It feels like we've read a book about Jasmine and we're about three quarters of the way through, and we
mm,
need to find out what
yeah,
happened in that last quarter, maybe,
yeah,
to know
absolutely.
whether we can fully trust her or not, or whether she could change her ways and stop looking at. She is very bitter towards the world. Is she going to
Yeah,
start to soften now?
will we have a different view on Jasmine by this time come Christmas? I wonder.
Mm.
We'll see. I mean, another person that says that they're not sure what to make of Jasmine is Anastasia Tinnick, who says he feels like Jasmine is the new Janine.
Oh, I'd be here for that.
And now the interesting thing there is actually you can work back over Janine. Yeah, you know me, I'll go on a 10-hour lecture about Janine. I love her, but you can go back over Janine's history and sort of put the pieces together as to why she
Yeah.
became the person that she did. So, arguably, are you looking at the genesis of Jasmine Janine here, sort of, so to speak? You know, can this develop somebody into a Janine type character? It's all to do with whether she chooses to go down path A, the Janine path, or
Mm.
path B, redemption path. Like, and what is more interesting in
Mm.
terms of watching it on a soap?
I mean,
You know,
definitely the Janine path.
possibly,
I don't
but
know. Do you think Josh is as innocent as he makes out? And we're talking about Jasmine, and then a part of me wonders, oh, do you think Josh might end up being the bitter one when he sees how much Zoe is cooing over Jasmine or something?
well, I mean, yes, at this point, I do think that Josh is as pure as a driven
Yeah,
snow and is
so
as lovely as
as do
yes.
I,
However,
yes.
you do also need to consider the fact that at some point this triangle is going to start again, and actually, what you're looking at there is a guy who knows that his twin sister is with this guy and sleeps with him anyway. So,
Yes, that's very true. So, yeah, and given everything that she's gone through as well.
mm, in,
Hmm.
mm,
Hmm. And lastly, Heather says, so it wasn't anything so crazy when Keith passed. Shame on Sandra for putting that on a child. Also, definitely noticed the rain scene reminiscent of the Cat Zoe scene parallel to Sandra and Jasmine's scene.
mm.
Oh, yeah, of course. They loved those.
I love those
You got to have it in
parallels.
rain as well, ain't
Love a
you? Of
parallel.
course.
Love a
Yeah.
parallel. Yeah. Yeah, the Josh Sandra Jasmine dynamic is interesting. I don't know how much longer we've really got Sandra around for. Part of me
I
sort of
thpart
feels
she'd
like
gone.
yes,
That
part
were
of me
it.
sort of feels that maybe Sandra's part of it is done. I mean, I was quite surprised that she sort of just said to Josh that this kid that apparently she's obsessed with and loves and adores and wants to keep him away from Jasmine, just say, "Oh yeah, you probably want to stay around here, don't you? That's fine." So
That's,
arguably,
I think she's done. I think she's
yeah,
living
I
at
think she
safe
is.
end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so arguably, you could give her credence for the fact that despite her own personal feelings, she's letting Josh explore this side of his family. So it's not like
Mm,
she's trying to keep Josh under lock and key or anything. She
mm.
understands that he needs to do this.
Yeah, and she said that as well, like, that she was quite open to him getting, like, it'd all be his own decision when he's older. And I do think that she's, like, being genuine towards Josh, but then how can you overlook the fact that she abandoned an 8 year
Mm,
old girl who just had a really traumatic experience?
yeah.
There's something else, and I'm really sorry because somebody commented this and I can't remember who it was or where I read this comment, but
Or
it was
whether they
something
even
that I'd,
commented it and you've dreamt
well,
it.
or
Yeah,
whether I
yeah,
dreamt it, but it was
yeah.
something that was in the back of my mind actually about that first scene when Sandra was having some wine with Kim and Denise, right?
Mm.
And somebody's commented basically what I'd been thinking about how has Sandra maybe got a drinking problem or Josh? They're always going off for a
Always
drink.
drunk. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's true. And is it that Sandra's like, is Sandra like, did she become an alcoholic after Keith or something? So maybe we will see
Maybe.
that everything wasn't as, sweet and flat. What's the phrase?
Sweet and
Nice.
flowery, were you going to say
Yeah,
there?
flower. I don't
Sweet
know
and
what to
flowery.
say.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Something of roses, as we've seen it
Ambrosial.
between Josh and Sandra, or
Yeah.
did she have alcohol problems that Josh has now been
Inherited.
emulating after? Well, no, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
grown up seeing that, and oh right,
It
the
does seem to be
the
Josh's
stuff goes,
go-to at the moment,
yeah,
doesn't it? I was like, I'll go get
should
drunk.
go get
That's
a drink,
absolutely
should go
fine.
get a
Yeah.
drink,
But
and
then
maybe
he's
that's
young.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is young, and maybe it is reading too much into it. But
Let's
I
real
actually
re.
was pondering the
We did that.
relevance.
We did that at all
I
time.
know.
Any given opportunity. Pub.
We got an essay pub.
Pub. That's what we
Pub.
need to be. Pub.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, there is that, but or maybe or maybe Josh is just innocently drinking like a 19-year-old, but maybe
I
Sandra
think
had
so, yeah.
drink issues. I
Maybe.
don't know, but something to
Sandra
consider.
is strange ways of coping, is what I would say. And all of
Yes,
that seems to
yeah.
be basing all of this blame onto Jasmine. So whether that is justified or not remains to be seen. Interesting stuff. Let us know what all your thoughts are on this week's episodes and next week's. And you can do that by doing the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and wherever you find your podcasts. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to buy a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Yes, you can indeed. Don't forget to subscribe. We are really close to 2,000 subscribers, everybody.
Yeah.
Just click, just click.
Doesn't
That's it.
take
Oh, you
long,
did
like
it.
half a
Half a
millisecond. Click,
millisecond. And you've helped
done.
us. You've helped us brilliantly. Just
Perfect.
click, you nice people. Thank you
Oh,
very much
thank you for
indeed.
that.
We shall be back at the usual time next week. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you then. Goodbye.
Bye.